everybody, I'm Heather Chakosky. I'm a realtor here in Westfield, Massachusetts, and today I want to take a minute and talk about how in 2021 you can actually win a bid. We're going to talk about things like info-only inspections, financing, escalation clauses. Those are some things that you can do that can really make you a much stronger, more competitive, edgier buyer. But the other thing I want to talk about, so make sure you stick around all the way to the end of the video, is something that you can do and you really should be doing to protect yourself, especially in a market that's as hot as today's market. All right, everybody, you ready? Let's talk about this. As a buyer in 2021, there are some things that you can do that can actually help you win. I know what you're thinking. This market is crazy. You keep putting in offer after offer after offer after offer. There's no inventory out there. You literally just cannot get the house and you're frustrated. Let's talk about some things that you can include in your offer that will really make you much more competitive. By the way, sellers pay for the buyer's realtor. So you aren't going to spend a dime for a realtor's services. You really should be protecting yourself with a realtor. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Let's talk about how you can submit an offer that's a competitive offer. First things first, escalation clauses. If you've never heard of an escalation clause, you should Google escalation clauses. Escalation clauses, it's like bidding. So you put in your offer and you say to a buyer, here's what I'm willing to pay. This is what my offer is for. But if you have multiple offers, and they probably do, you can say, I'm going to include an escalation clause that will allow me to bump my offer in intervals up to a cap. This is an incredible tool. It's borderline a weapon for buyers to use. Sellers don't like it, and I honestly don't blame them, because if I'm a seller, I want to say back to my 10 buyers who all had these offers in, I don't want to deal with your escalation clause. I want to see your highest and best. You give me your highest and best. But as a buyer, that's not in your best interest. An escalation clause can be a really strong tool to allow you to not automatically lose a bid, but without having to go all in right up front. So an escalation clause is a pretty cool thing to consider. Now, truth be told, a lot of sellers are not going to talk about escalation clauses. They just don't want to deal with them. But it is something that you should be aware of as a buyer. Another thing I want to talk about, and there's a couple, I still want to talk about information-only inspections, and I want to talk about financing, and of course I want to talk about the things that you should be doing to protect yourself. But let's take a minute first and let's talk about how the financial side of your offer can actually be a strong influencer as to how a seller perceives your offer in comparison to the others that are out there. So one of the things to start looking at right up front, the moment you think to yourself, like, I think I want to buy a house, your next thought should be, I think I need to get pre-qualified to buy a house. So go and talk to your mortgage officer, talk to your bank, talk to your mortgage officer. I use a mortgage officer. And if you don't have one, I know a wonderful woman who's just fantastic. But go to the banks and get pre-qualified. A lot of sellers aren't even going to let you through the door if you're not pre-qualified. So get your pre-qualifications, decide what type of financing is going to be best for you. And there's a lot of choices out there. There's VA loans, which are fantastic. They usually have great interest rates. They're no money down. Obviously, they're for veterans, but these are a really fantastic tool for people that are looking to buy property. There's first-time home buyers. This is another really fantastic resource. And of course, you've got your conventional loans. You can do 15-year, you can do 30-year. There's cash-only offers. So there's a lot of choices out there, and I would really recommend that at the very, very early stages of your process, you start talking to that mortgage officer to make sure that you are in a good position so that when you walk into your dream house and you find it and you love it, you don't lose it because you were unprepared. So be prepared, be pre-qualified, and be ready to go. Which brings me to my next point. You need to be decisive. This is not 2019. The idea that a house is going to be around for a couple of weeks or a month, that's just not the case. The idea that a house might be around for a week is probably wishful thinking. The reality of today's market is that houses and apartments are going instantly. I mean, it is just wild how fast things are moving on this market. So if you are not prepared financially and you are not prepared logistically, but mentally to make the decision and be decisive, you will lose these properties. It's just the reality. So I say that just so that you're in the mind space to actually be in the game. So the final thing that I want to talk about before we talk about what you should be doing to protect yourself is information-only inspections. I've seen a lot of buyers have great success by doing information-only inspections. What is an information-only inspection? Information-only inspections is you saying to a seller right up front, the day you put in your offer, that you're going to do an inspection, and you absolutely should do an inspection, because an inspection offers you security, right? It lets you know after spending a couple $100s what you're getting into when you spend a couple $100,000. So an inspection is a really important thing to do, but the reality is sellers aren't going to pay for you to fix anything anyway. That's the market right now. You know, to think to yourself, like, and I've done this, I've thought this way, that, oh, I'll just ask them for this stuff when we get to inspections because I want to win the bid. It's a dream. It's not going to happen. The reality of today's market is that sellers are not going to make nickel and dime repairs at inspection time. So for you to say right up front that, you know, you're willing as a buyer to do an information-only inspection, you are saying to this seller that 2 weeks from now, you don't have to worry that I'm going to back out. It makes you a more reliable buyer. That way, a seller is going to be more comfortable. They're going to be more enticed. They're going to be more excited about your offer because they know they don't have to worry about it in a couple of weeks. You're invested. You're gonna move forward and you're gonna see this through. So information-only inspections are a really strong tool that you can use as a buyer. To kind of do a quick little recap, some of the things that you can do to make yourself more competitive, more of an edgy, more of an exciting buyer is you can do information-only inspections, talk to your realtor about an escalation clause, and then of course, be qualified and have a solid understanding of your finances. If you can do cash down or you can put a cash only offer in, that's gonna be huge. But that also brings me to the importance of protecting yourself as a buyer, especially in a market this high. I would strongly recommend you consider doing some sort of clause in your offer that says that the property must appraise at or above purchase price. The reason this is important is with people bidding 10, 15, 20,000. I heard on a call somebody's paid 30,000 over asking price. It is possible that the property won't appraise at that point. And you need to make sure that you're not in a position where you are committed to spending the money, knowing that the moment you sign the paperwork, you're upside down. Putting in a clause that says the property must appraise at or above purchase price is a really good idea, and it's a good way to protect yourself as a buyer. I will admit that it's not something that's going to excite a seller because sellers also know their property might not appraise. So just know that there is a little bit of risk in that, but it's a good way to protect yourself. Thank you for hanging out. I hope this was a helpful video. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment below. Let me know your thoughts, and if there's things that you've done or you've seen your friends do that were successful at winning that house in this market, comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts, and I'll see you next time.